Today on People of Exeter, we have Julie Gilman.
Car, so left, and then after that I bent over.
Hello, Garrett.
Hello, Julie. All right, so this is exciting for me because as I've talked with you in the past at the American Independence Museum Festival, you said that you were a lifelong resident here in Exeter.
I was born in Exeter.
You were born in Exeter.
I lived here until I went to college down at the Rhode Island School of Design in Providence. And after that, I lived in Manchester and Cambridge because at the time, in the early or late, mid-'80s, a woman finding a job in architecture in New Hampshire was pretty much nil. So I moved down to Massachusetts where I could get a paying job, a well-paying job.
I mean, what here in this community has, been an inspiration for you to be involved?
Boy, the community, the people that make up the community. I studied architecture in school, so of course the history of how the downtown developed, how we got the bandstand, how we got Swayze Parkway, Gilman Park, when the library moved. that was a shock to me because I was away when the new library was built. It's just that, but the people are fabulous. It's friendly, even when they're angry, they're respectful. So I think that is really why I want to stay, is to continue on in something that I enjoy as far as the community goes, and also because of what makes up the community. Not just the people, but the activities that they do, the schools and what they do. It's just, one big ball of greatness.
Was this also, something, living and growing up here, was that something that stood out to you in, I would say, your quest for discovering that you wanted to be an architect?
Yes, it certainly was in my mind. My major was certainly in my mind during high school. And we have such a diverse history of the buildings. Like downtown, some people think is colonial, but it's really Victorian because there were so many fires along the street.
Yeah.
So there's actually very little of downtown that's from an earlier period. And then, farmhouses out on the west side and the development over on J.D. Hill, which came in after World War II, when people needed homes, and it was easy. They were easy to build and settle. So just through the years, watching how the town has grown, and I sit on the Heritage Commission as a selectman's rep, and we did a study, a mapping survey, that showed how Exeter developed over time through available maps that we had that showed the boundaries or where people had started to build up. And like any community of this age or even older, the concentration, of course, is in the downtown area where the commerce was, and the shipbuilding on the river and the timber trade and those kind of things all happened downtown with the power of the river. And then as people became more prosperous and could get more space, they would move out and develop the further outside, and then another circle of a different economy, the brickyards and the farming, and then there started to be the infill where lots were starting to be divided down because we weren't farming as much, or the brickyards were gone, so there was space for people to congregate. And so the neighborhoods became more intimate. So it was a very interesting study. It's on our Heritage Commission website, and you can see how the town has grown to where it is.
It's definitely kept a very unique small town here. The hallmark of New England is actually this place.
Oh, revolutionary capital of New Hampshire. There's a whole story there too.
Yeah. Things you find out when you start kind of scrolling around, all the excitement here in Exeter. I mean, obviously, it must have been a wild time, too, being an architect during the 80s, 80s and 90s, when the growth began to spike. But I do have a quick question. Top 10 in your 80s playlist.
Well, you know, that's funny because that you ask that because New Hampshire Public Radio tonight is having a playlist from the 1981 because it's the 40th anniversary for which program it's on. So at 7 o'clock tonight, I submitted my top 4 songs from 1981. So, you know, going to RISD, Talking Heads is almost a class. So that's my #1 band, so anything by the Talking Heads. Except for maybe Psycho Killer, but songs popped. Songs are gone.
The songs are gone.
Yep, I can hear the words, but not the title.
Devo?
Devo was cute for a while, yeah, and Devo, Depeche Mode. I was more into the new wave era of music. David Bowie, anything by David Bowie, and The Cure.
And The Cure. Did you ever get to see David Bowie in the 80s when Ziggy Stardust came out, when he came to Boston?
No, I saw him later when he did his Spider Glass tour. I saw him at Foxborough, and that must have been in the 90s. But it's funny that you talk about his glam rock. One of the things at RISD is there's a gallery for student shows, and every year the seniors would have a student show, and somebody made a altar to David Bowie and as the great white prince and his glam rock. It was really quite astounding what she could do. But it was a surprise in this little niche, and all of a sudden it was lights and David Bowie and the music playing.
In the select board, I mean, there's a lot of the community you guys have to be dealing with.
The needs of the one versus the needs of the many, I guess, and not to go with the Star Trek theme now, but there are so many pieces that make up the whole that I can't, and this goes for the State House too, I can't take the one incident and say that's it for the whole town. But there are difficult choices, and I see at the State House too, we'll have bills that come in because one state representative has a problem from one person in his town that he wants to solve. And it's changing the rules for the laws for the whole state because one person in one town has a problem with something. And so I bring that from the state and to the state from Exeter, from my experience on the select board, that what I do affects more than people I like, or more than people in this part of town, or more than the schools. It's really a whole. You got to think about the whole.
Yeah, you guys are attempting to try and keep Exeter, as well as you can. So safe sidewalks for people, clean water to drink, clean air for everybody to breathe.
Yeah. I'll say that it may seem to people that we are doing an awful lot of work or spending a lot of money on public works. And we have a great department that is doing a good job at finding out where our needs are and prioritizing that, and discovering things like pipes that haven't been cleaned since the 80s and now fail because they're the lack of upgrade or the lack of attendance to them. And so, we're trying to catch up so that we don't have to spend all this money again in 30 years. If we do a little bit at a time, you don't feel the pinch as much.
Yeah. And so quickly, you have been in the state. What's the backstory as to why you decided you want to get?
Well, the simplest answer to that is I was asked to.
Your,
We have 4 positions that represent Exeter, 4 representatives. And when somebody has served a few years, there are people who have served 20 terms, and they're 2-year terms. And there are people there that just started. And when I started there, I was asked, and I considered it and understood what went into the job. It's an awful lot of reading and research, but I can do that, and it's as much work as you want to put into it. So when somebody is choosing who they might vote for, that's something to ask: is how much work are you going to put into this? So that, and it's I think a natural progression that because I can bring that, I think it's added value to the select board that I know what's happening up at the state level and what's going to be coming our way when the governor signs a bill or vetoes a bill. And also our town manager or other select board members will recommend to me this either has to change or we need a new one of these, and I can bring it up whether it fails or not, and passes or not. I've been maybe 50% on that, so I think it's a good match to do.
yeah. Now, quickly, you got to have at least one funny story from being either in the state or the select board.
See, on the funny story from the select board. Boy, it's it's been so long. I'm totally blanking out.
Totally.
I might have to come back for that one.
Part 2,
Yeah,
Julie
part
Gilman
2.
returns.
Yeah. The return of Julie Gilman.
We'll have to have like a dramatic intro and.
I think
smoke
that I can't think of a funny incident, like a laugh out loud, but more of a we all enjoy the same incident that occurred, and it has some humor in it. And that mostly comes from what the input we're getting from somebody might trigger a funny word, or that was my response too, or and we do play off each other somewhat, but it's really about business, and we're up there to do business and not just put ourselves on show. So if I think of a funny story, I'll come back.
All right. We'll have laser lights and smoke machines.
Yeah, there you go, and a spider.
Spider with some David Bowie music playing.
Well, one of the things that's interesting is when I joined the board, I wasn't the youngest, but I was second to youngest. And now I'm the one with the most tenure on the board, and it's a very different perspective because of all the things that you learned, that you can know that you did it, but you don't necessarily remember how you got there. And that's in teaching the others how to get the answers to their questions and where's the good source for information. How exactly do we make this vote, or do we need a vote, or is it consensus? These are the kind of things that I've been through enough that I can bring, and hopefully we don't look like we're stumbling through a decision or a matter that's before us. And the other thing I like about it is that I get to represent the board on the other committees that I'm on. It's for that back and forth that we need to have. And sometimes the reports back to the select board are, well, they're usually at the end of a meeting when we're tired, so they tend to be a little too short. But it lets the other select board members know what's being considered, and maybe that we have something in common with my committee and your committee. And that's worked somewhat for in a couple of instances. I can't say very often, but to be aware of what the other boards are doing helps achieve the master plan goals, and it helps us to make sure the town is providing what people need and want.
Yeah. All right, thank you again, Julie. Is there anything you would like to share before going?
Yes, I would like some volunteers for the Heritage Commission and the Historic District Commission. I ask this every time someone comes in to volunteer. And I think there's situations where people are afraid of what they don't know. But the other people on those commissions do know, and we're ready to teach. And on screen or off screen, we're ready to teach. And I don't think that there should be that fear of what I don't know.
All right. Don't fear the unknown.
That's right.
All right, Exeter, you've heard it. If you would like to be in the spotlight here on People of Exeter, please feel free to contact us at extvg@exeternh.gov. Thank you for watching and have a great day.